Sup? It's GameImpulse. It's Keith here. Tyler.
I'm Keith.
Apparently this is Keith as well. I'm Keith. Okay. All of us are Keith, and today we are going to discuss with the new generation of consoles whether or not prices for games will go up and whatnot. So, who wants to start? Or do I have to?
I can start.
Okay.
Do I think the prices of games are going to go up? I'm going to say no. Now, I see the argument why games are going to go up this generation. You know, there's more, the PlayStation 4 and the next Xbox, they have more processing power, so the graphics are going to be better. They can do more animations, you know. The games will hold more content, so they'll be bigger, so there'll be more content that they have to invest hours and thousands of dollars in to create. But I say no because, honestly, if they go past $60, I think that's going to turn a lot of people off from buying games. Games are going to become more... I mean, don't get me wrong, games kind of, as of now, kind of, in a way, are a luxury. But I feel they'll become more of a luxury, more of something that, you know, you'll get maybe just 2 or 3 of a year as opposed to maybe 5 or 6 or more or something, you know, depending on how much money you have or something. But I feel games will go from being something that a lot of people do for entertainment to something that they do every once in a while because they can't afford to pay $70, $80 for a game. I mean, to me, asking $60 for a game now is like, all right, you know, no more past that. I remember when games used to be $50 for the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox, and then they went to $60, and everybody's like, whoa! Holy shit, that's a lot of money. But everybody kind of got used to it. But honestly, I mean, especially with how the economy is, I mean, the economy really, I mean, when the 360 and the PS3 came out, I mean, don't get me wrong, it wasn't the greatest thing, but it's shitty. It was better at the time. And then it got shitty, and then, you know, it's still not the greatest right now. So people can't afford to go spend $70 all the time on games or whatever that they want to. I mean, don't get me wrong, I feel that when you pay $60 for a game, in my opinion, you get a lot out of that game, if it's a good game. When I buy a Gears of War, I spend hours in the campaign, I spend endless hours in the multiplayer. You know, I play co-op a lot, and you know, I get a lot out of that. And another reason why I think that games won't go and shouldn't go up in price is because of DLC as well. I mean, a lot of people, they spend $60 on a game, and then they invest in the DLC, the extra maps or game modes or whatever. And you know, that's just, you know, you'll end up spending, what? $80, $90 on just that game over a period of time. And I just think if you spend $70 to buy a game brand new and then you spend another $20 or $30 on DLC for it, I mean that's like $100 for just one game. That's just pretty ridiculous to me. So I don't really think games prices are going to go up. Also, I heard, at least for the PlayStation 4, that it's a lot easier to develop for than the PlayStation 3. So therefore, yeah, there'll be more content and things will be a lot more finely detailed and all that stuff, but it won't take as long, maybe. I mean, I'm not a game designer, of course, but you know, they won't have to struggle through it like with the PlayStation 3 or something. It'll go, the development process will go more smoothly or something like that. So I don't think it'll go up. I just think it'll turn too many people off from buying games new.
Alright, there's 2 questions here. 1, will the price go up? And 2, should the price go up? Will the price go up? I am going to say yes, but should it go up? No. Why will it go up, do I think? Just my opinion. every new console, gets more expensive. The games get more expensive. I mean, it's kind of inevitable, I guess. Like Tyler said, if it goes more smoothly or whatever, yeah, it's easier to create stuff and whatnot. And, you know, from what I hear and from what people imagine about the new, at least PlayStation 3 system, is that it can hold a lot more. So, I mean, yeah, it'll be easier to make stuff, but they'll be making a lot more stuff, so it's still work and stuff, and they need to pay all the workers for doing all of that, and, pay everyone this and that, and the corporation needs money, and so on and so forth. You know how that stuff goes. But I think it'll go up just because there's more in it, I guess. Yeah, there's the better graphics, and I guess people are willing to pay more. It's like a blender or something. Like, you go into a store, you see like a good blender that works. It's like the PlayStation 3. It's like a great blender, But then there's a blender right next to it that, it's like slightly better. It's the newer model of the same brand. Of course it's going to be, more money and everything. It's kind of inevitable, I guess. Things get newer, things get better, things cost more or whatever, because all the stuff that went into making them. I mean, that's just what? Like, wow. But, like, the system, I know, is definitely going to cost more. But the games, I feel like they're going to cost a little more. I certainly hope not that they'll skyrocket up to, like, $1,000 or nothing like that. But, I mean, going from $60 a game up to, like, $70 a game, I mean, people, I guess, like, naturally, I guess when, like, PlayStation 3 came out, games went up like $10, $20, you're like, ugh. Then you end up buying them still. It's so, I mean, I guess the people at Sony, like corporations, this is going into a whole different subject, but corporations usually think they can get away with whatever they want just because people are willing to do things like that, just because, that's how they're trained, Well, if something costs more money, I'm still going to buy it, just because, oh, I spend my money on this, I'll spend my money on that, oh, it's this put out a new game system, it's slightly better, we'll rake in all the money from it, and it's like people in society are just trained to, just spend their money on it. That's a whole different subject though, but, I still think people are just going to spend their money on it, buy it just because it looks cool and everything, at first, a lot of people are going to be like, $70, that's a lot, they're going to be mad about it, but like Tyler said, how people were mad about it at first, they're going to end up getting used to it and everything, and which is going to be unfortunate. But yeah, they'll buy less games or fewer games, and I guess it may be worth it because of the more stuff they put on it. Like, hey, you get 10 bananas with a PlayStation 3 game, but with a PlayStation 4 game, you get 14 bananas. It's 4 more bananas. They're going to charge more for it. Whether it's worth it or not, it's debatable, but it's kind of inevitable. Should it? No, because people don't want to pay that much, and it's just kind of unfair just because of the new system, just because it's a video game. I guess it is kind of a luxury, and it's something. It's a gift. It's whatever you call it. Something given to us that we're lucky to have, but I don't think it should. Probably will though. Money, companies, corporations, you know how that stuff works. The man. But that's all I have to say.
Okay, so I think that video game prices shouldn't go up, yet I do accept that there's a chance that it will, but will it skyrocket? I mean, I think that probably most likely it will would only go up to, I'd say, like 65, maybe 70 would probably be the highest they go. But when you look at it, there's a couple of different factors that kind of go into it. Back like when Tyler said, when you could for $50 you could get a game for the PS2. And the original Xbox and the GameCube and all that. Well, in a way, money was worth less back then. People weren't making as much money on an income, so that was kind of like the thing. So that back then, $50 was $60 to us, because that's just how things work. Now people make more money, they have more money to spend, so $60 isn't as bad. So I mean, and if you think of like politically and all that, with I guess that there might be raising minimum wage up to $9, maybe $70 wouldn't be too bad. But that's one thing to consider. But a lot of game developers actually said that at least right now, like the current generation of consoles was hurting how they were making games. Like technically, the games are like Assassin's Creed 3 and whatnot are actually surpassing what the 360 can do. Like the game's already like better than the 360. That's why I guess there's some problems with like some of the newer games. Like apparently people think there's all kinds of glitches in that game and whatnot. So with the new consoles, it would just make games better and they could handle it. So price might not necessarily go up that way because they've already making games of this caliber, so that now the console can show all that. And then also, kind of like what the other two have said, they're making money elsewhere with that. They're, this is the consoles, which are already probably going to be more expensive than the previous one, most likely. Like Tyler said, DLC, you're going to get money from that for a game. It's probably another good $20, $25 you're throwing into a game. There's online service, which I know the PSN really doesn't have, to go for it. But I mean, Xbox, yeesh, it's like, what, $50 a year to get lives? 50, $60 a year for lives. So I mean,
yeah, but the amount of stuff you get out of it,
yeah, so
quality, it's worth it.
Yeah, but I mean, like they're making money that way, and then like any kind of like unnecessary accessory, like boom, here's a keyboard, so now you can type faster. Even though if you have a headset, why would you type a message on live? What was it thing? The Illuma Room, which they announced, which is like, hey, now you have your TV, which is the focus of your screen. And now you have the entire wall behind your TV as your screen. Like they have all these other things that they can make money on. So, in that way, I don't think the price will go up. But then also, like these guys said, people probably won't want to pay that much money for it. Like here's the example, which I used earlier when I was talking to these guys about it. There's two people. They're selling lemonade on the side of the road, and one person's selling a cup of lemonade for $10. The other person's selling a cup of lemonade for $1. Which, yes, this cup of lemonade at $10 is, yes, it's better, and for all intents and purposes, it's better. But the $1 isn't bad. Like there's nothing wrong with it. Like it's perfect. But the 10's better. The guy who's selling 10 will still make money, but the guy selling 1 will probably make more money because people are more willing to buy from there. And I think the same thing will apply with video games. If like for some console they start charging $70 per video game, but then for whatever reason like something else for another game is $60, people buy that instead of buying the $70 one. To think, and if it's like a big name series, people will buy money. Like they're Sony and whoever's the developer for the God of War series. The HD collection of every single God of War game is only like $30, $40, and yet they're probably making good money off that because people want that. People want the same thing with like since BioShock Infinite's coming out, they're releasing both the BioShock. It's only like $30, yet they're still probably making bank because people are like, oh, this new game's coming out, I need to get this. And also, and because it's technically is part of the next generation, the Wii U games for that are only $60. And for all intents and purposes, it's not that bad of a console. People would probably easily just hop over to the Wii U then, if for whatever reason Xbox and Sony were selling games for $60 or for $70, and that was only $60. People would be like, oh, all right, well, I'll just get a Wii. It'll save me money in the long run. So from a competition standpoint, just because of that, I really don't think the price of games will go up.
If games go up, though, I think the used game market would really benefit from that because people will be like, I'll just wait for it to be used and then they'll go buy it used. So they'll have a bunch of used games or some shit.
It's either that or like the local businesses like Just Press Play around here. They will thrive because then they'll be like, well, hey, guess what? We'll charge, because you know they're getting old. You know they're having, at least just press play. They have all the retro games and all that, so they make money off of selling those too. So they can be like, hey, you know, we can afford to charge $60 a game, and so people will be more willing to go there, and so then you know that'll help them, and then places like GameStop will kind of suffer because of that.
Plus, if you have a really big franchise like Halo or Mario or Assassin's Creed or, you know, I don't know, God of War or something, you're pretty much guaranteed to sell millions and millions of copies of that game. So therefore, even if games are sold at 70 or whatever, I don't even know, you could sell it at 60 and you'll still make a fucking profit off of it, because your franchise has made such a name for itself that everybody just wants to see what the next game's about. You know what I mean? Like Call of Duty's the best example of that. You know, they make a new Call of Duty and it's like the best-selling game all year round. I mean, they could probably sell that fucking game at $50 and still make a huge ass profit, but you know, they just sell it at 60. So I don't really think, with some big name franchises, I don't really think raising the price of games is appropriate. But we were talking how like games now like Assassin's Creed are like, you know, they're better than the 360, they're surpassing it, but won't eventually the games on the next consoles surpass the consoles? It'll be the same exact issue.
I think it's just that for whatever reason, like, you know, like boom, the Xbox and the PlayStation, these are gonna have 10-year cycles, but then they were like, you know, we're gonna give it the power that at least by how we're making video games now, this is gonna last us a good while. And then I guess they were making games better than before. So I mean, like, that'll either mean there'll be the next generation will be even sooner, like maybe only like a 5-year lifespan of this generation before the next one or something. But I mean, yeah, I mean, but with that argument, I was saying they're already making games at this kind of, and putting them out for $60 with this kind of like effort and this much time, this much work, which, you know, isn't even being actualized and seen with the Xbox and whatnot. But then, you know, so why not, you know, if you're basically almost going to be doing the same thing in a way with the next console, why up the price? Because, I mean, it'll just look better. You can basically do the same amount of work and you'll just get better results because, you know, the new PS4 will make everything look 10 times better. So you could just, for a little while, you could, you know, nobody has to do anything, but that's what that argument was. You have any thoughts?
I don't trust corporations. I still think they're gonna charge $7 a game and get away for it because Halo nerds will pay that much for Halo, and you know, Assassin's Creed, people that love it will pay that much. I mean, like, Halo is one of the biggest games, one of the biggest like series of games in the entire world. People will pay that much. Like, that's the sad thing. Like, corporations can definitely just get away with that. And, like, you think like it would be more sensible for them to charge this amount, but like I said, I mean, I just don't trust corporations, and I don't think they realize what's sensible. They just do it for the money, pretty much.
Isn't like small time games would suffer? Like, yes, you know, boom, no matter what, they're gonna sell plenty of Call of Duties. They're gonna sell plenty of Halos. They're gonna sell plenty of the Uncharted series. They're gonna sell plenty of all those kinds of games. And then it's gonna be like games like what's a popular game that I played? Games like Homefront. Homefront was a really fun game that I played, but then you'll probably, like, those kind of games will die out because, you know, they don't have like anything built off of them, and nobody's be like, well, I've never heard of this game. I don't know if it's going to be good. I don't want to waste $70, $80 on a game, especially now that, like, I mean, I barely want to waste $60 on a game, depending on if a game's not good. So, I mean, that's, you know, just my opinion. Alright.
If there's new IPs and franchises coming out, is it risky to, like, is it more risky to make them if they're sold at $70 and people won't buy games at $70?
Like, they're gonna probably have to charge less, and then they'll be put in the hole. But then that's the thing, that if they make a good game, it won't matter.
Yeah.
So I mean, it is a shot in the dark. But I mean, so that's what I mean. You're gonna see basically, then maybe if it goes on a curve like this, where each generation it goes up, after a while there'll probably only be like a handful of series, and there'll be like 4 or 5 games for each console released for a year. But that's like the extreme of what would happen.
Last thing, if games are $70, we buy 'em.
Not as many, but I probably still would.
I don't play Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 as it is. I stick to Nintendo where games are more fun and less competitive.
Yeah,
There you have it. I might. You won't.